call the member for Dunkley.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Well, I can help out the member about when was this raised, when was this spoken about. Every question time. Most 90-seconders. I was elected to this place in 2019. I spoke about RoboDebt so many times. I spoke about Mel, a woman in my electorate who worked part-time and who a debt was raised against her, an unlawful RoboDebt, that she didn't owe, of $5,000, and the email I received from her and her husband because they just couldn't get a review, telling me how little faith they had in the department because there's a strong possibility no review will take place. They will ignore the evidence and claim money is owed regardless, that Mel's maternity payments will be taken, or all of the above. As a young family in the electorate of Dunkley, those payments will directly support and provide for our child. This was raised over and over again in this parliament by the then opposition. And it shouldn't have had to have been, but it was. As Commissioner Holmes said, it was the beginning of 2017 was the point when RoboDebt's unfairness, probable illegality and cruelty became apparent. It should then have been abandoned or revised drastically, and an enormous amount of hardship and misery, as well as the expense the government was so anxious to minimise, would have been averted. Instead, the path was taken to double down, to go on the attack in the media against those who complained and to maintain the falsehood that in fact the system had not changed at all. The government was, the DHS and DSS ministers maintained, acting righteously to recoup taxpayers' money for the undeserving. The member for Maribyrnong, Bill Shorten, prosecuted RoboDebt vociferously in this parliament, and no one who sat here could possibly not know that he did that. But he shouldn't have had to. From 2017 onward, the then government knew what was happening and turned a blind eye. The member for Flinders gave a thoughtful speech, I'd like to say, and acknowledge the problems with RoboDebt. There was one thing, though, that struck a bit of a chord with me when she talked about the Liberal Party as being the party of personal responsibility. And I know that's something that the Liberal Party hold dear to, but I just wonder how far that extends. It often seems to extend to the rhetoric about people receiving social security benefits who are unemployed, who have issues in their lives. And I think it extends to the member for Flinders. I think she does believe in personal responsibility, and her speech shows that. But it certainly doesn't appear to extend to her colleagues who were in the cabinet of the former government when she wasn't here. Where's the personal responsibility having been taken by anyone in the cabinet that from 2017 onwards doubled down, went on the attack and continued RoboDebt? There's been none. And the Commissioner says at page 102, she rejects as untrue Mr Morrison's evidence that he was told that income averaging as contemplated in the executive minute was an established practice and a foundational way in which DHS worked. Where's the personal responsibility of the member for Cook? Where's the personal responsibility of the then Minister for Human Services, Ms Payne, whose evidence was described by the Commissioner as this series of disparate and unsatisfactory answers would have the makings of a child's nursery rhyme if it were not so serious? Where was the personal responsibility of Mr Tudge, who the Commissioner said his use of information about social security recipients in the media to distract from and discourage commentary about the scheme's problems represented an abuse of power? Where was the personal responsibility of Christian Porter, who the Commissioner said he could not rationally have been satisfied of the legality of the scheme? Of Stuart Robert, who the Commissioner said it can't be accepted that the principles of Cabinet solidarity required Mr Robert to publicly support Cabinet decisions whether he agreed with them or not, because he knew they weren't true. No personal responsibility of anyone who was in that Cabinet, including people who are still in this parliament today.